This is Marcus Whitney's audio universe.
Like, you got to do the work. You got to show up and just do the work.
What's good? Happy Friday. You made it. You made it to the end of the week. And we have a treat for you headed into the weekend, because I know for many of you, this has been, a hell of a week. There's been so much to reflect on. We had an incredible week reflecting on the life and the legacy and the great work of John Lewis. That's been, I think, incredible to just watch and remember just how much good trouble he got in for us to be able to have the America that we have today. And it just sort of, I think, anchors us all in what each one of us can do, if we anchor in our purpose and we have a lot of faith. And at the same time, there's a lot of instability in the world. In fact, losing him right now is probably hard for many people, because, it makes you wonder whether or not who's going to come in and fill his shoes. And it's one less great person that we have to help us navigate these really difficult times. And so the timing couldn't be better for me to have my friend on. He is a guy who, I have admired as an accomplished author, and somebody who, from the very first time I heard about him, it was clear he was walking in his path and his purpose. And, he works with young people, which is always such an honorable thing to do. And he's a little bit of a unicorn out here, because he's a black man and he's a mental health professional. So, he's definitely someone who I wanted to introduce to the Marcus Whitney universe. So without further ado, my man, Eric Capehart. Eric, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Good to be on with you today, man. And if I could, I want to tell a little quick story about John Lewis. In 2015, I was able to go to the 50th anniversary of his march across the bridge in Selma, the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And as we marched over the bridge, I was already over the bridge, and him and President Obama and that whole crew were coming over. And I saw him coming towards me, and I knew that I would have an opportunity to say something to him, because he's coming right where I was. And I'm sitting here thinking, what am I going to say to this man? And when he came to me, I was able to shake his hand, and I'm as nervous as ever, right? And the only thing that I could think to say to him was simply just thank you. That's all I was able to say. And I think it meant a lot for him just to, because everybody's trying to talk to him. I wouldn't want to hold him up too long, but just to say thank you. I think it meant something to him. He had a little smirk on his face, like, you know what, that's cool, man. That's all you're going to say. And we shook hands, and then we just went on. And to know that he is no longer here, is like you said, man, it's a tough time to lose someone like him, especially in the season of, we have an election coming up. And John Lewis, as we all know, that's what he fought for. He fought to his dying day to ensure that we could have the right to vote. And so I think a great way to honor his life and his legacy is to just encourage anybody and everybody to just go out and cast a vote in this upcoming election. So I just want to share that quick story, man. I'm doing great, man. It's a happy Friday, and I'm looking forward to a good interview today.
Man, thank you. That was a wonderful way to kick everything off, and very appropriate for you to, just utter those two simple but powerful words to him. I'm sure he really did appreciate it. So let's turn to you, man. Give us your background and your story.
Yeah, so I'm Eric Capehart. I'm a Nashvilleian, a true Nashvilleian. I'm a unicorn for that reason as well. Here in the city, a lot of people are not from here, but I actually am from here. So I'm a counselor for social justice. And what that means is I help individuals who are marginalized or pushed to society, undervalued, underappreciated. I help them deal with psychological, emotional, and of course, social issues as it relates to their mental health. But before I ever became a therapist, I had a career in nonprofit where I founded an organization. This my kids knocking on the door, man. I'm at home, man. I'm sorry.
That's okay, man. That's okay. It's real. This is real.
The realness of it, man. It's the times we're in. But in 2007, I founded an organization called All the King's Men, which was a mentoring organization. Our whole mission was to reduce the likelihood that Black males would ever come into contact with juvenile court. We had in-school programming, we had after-school programming, and we created what we call team mentorship, where we partnered with the local youth football organization, and we provided each one of the teams with a mentor. The mentors were at every practice, we were at every game, and we were there for the entire season. And, we had a balance. Well, I don't like to say balance, but we had structured versus unstructured programming. And we were just there to show young boys that, we made mistakes coming up, but the mistakes that we made, we wanted to use those same mistakes to help teach them better ways to handle their situations. We did that for 11 years. And while I was doing that, I worked very closely with their families. And I realized that mentorship was a critical component. It's absolutely necessary. I also realized that there were, now that I'm a therapist, I saw that there were mental health issues that I just wasn't prepared to help the boys or their families with. And so what that did was it just kind of awoke something that was already inside of me that I didn't know was there, but I wanted to help people deal with psychological and emotional issues. And so I became a counselor, man. And so here I am. I've been practicing since 2014. I have my own practice in Nashville. I'm also known as Eric the Counselor. And again, I'm a counselor for social justice, man. I try to stand up for people who sometimes don't have the voice. I deal with a lot of Black men. I'm an ally for the LGBT plus community. And so that's a little bit about me, man. That's the unicorn that I am.
Man, so I have to just ask this question, and I'm sure you've been asked it before. In the Black community in America, we have not always had the benefit of mental health practitioners, right. And I would say it's only recently that it has been demystified in our community. Social workers, sure, yeah, we had that, but the idea of a true like mental health, practitioner, a therapist, right? That wasn't something that I heard about at all growing up, ever. Okay, you know what I mean? And I think many other Black people in America had that same experience. What was it that as you were putting all these pieces together made you say therapy? You know what I mean? Of all the different areas you could have gone into, people always go into like youth groups and you've built one of those and things like that. But you don't hear people who look like us say, I'm going to go into therapy very often. Yeah. So like, I want to hear more about like how that came to you.
Really, man, it came to me through mentoring. Honestly, mentoring is a lot like coaching, counseling, being a therapist. I sat with families for hours. I remember I would go to these boys' houses and I would sit there for hours, man, listening to their moms talk about how they wanted to give up on their sons. And I would, I'm just listening to their stories. And as they're telling me their stories, they're not only telling me about what's going on between them and their child, but they're telling me what's going on in their own lives. And the only thing I could really do was listen, Marcus, because I didn't have the answers. But I realized that just giving a person an opportunity to just talk and share with someone that they can trust, that's not going to go tell everybody what they told them. That's the primary job of a therapist, is to be a good listener, a non-judgmental listener, someone who can empathize. But when I became a therapist, I learned new skills to help people deal with some of the things. And so I would say the catalyst was really all those years of mentoring and sitting with boys and sitting with their families and listening and hearing stories and inviting other guests to come talk to the boys and just really being a great listener and talking less than really talking less and listening more. That's really what I attribute it to, man. And once I became a therapist, I was telling my mom about my decision, and my mom had an interest in psychology as well. So maybe it's in my DNA to some degree, but for the most part, Marcus, it really came from my years as a mentor.
So did you always know you wanted to work with young people and to kind of be that pivotal person who could?
No, not at all, man. I remember when I the first time I ever mentored. So I'm a man that grew up without my father, right? Didn't have a whole lot of male influences. But when I was in college, I'm in a fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha. We would do mentoring called Project C in projects out in North Nashville. And I remember the first time I ever was a mentor, there was like a little 5 or 6 year old kid living in the projects. You know what I'm saying? I just saw myself in him, and I didn't do anything special. I just was with him, coloring and, reading books. And it made me feel like I had something to give to somebody. And I just fell in love with mentoring. I never wanted to be start a nonprofit. I'm all about making money. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to go out here and enterprise and make money, so no, I never thought that I would be the person who would start a mentoring organization. I've mentored over 600 boys, like on a one-to-one mentor relationship. I have mentors that are grown men. I'm so proud of these guys, but I didn't know that that's what I would end up doing. I was a kid. I was in and out of trouble. I used to sell drugs. I never got, well, I got arrested one time, but I kind of learned my lesson. And so, nah, man, this is not the journey that I thought that I would have. But once I got into it, like I said, I felt like I had a purpose. It made me feel like, oh, I'm good at this, and I don't have to try like super hard to do it. It's just my authentic self, man. I really think it's just something that's inside of me that came out through an opportunity to volunteer when I was in college. But nah, man, this is not what I thought I would be doing at all.
Well, that's amazing, because from the outside, it definitely looks like something you were meant to do, and that you do sort of, joyously, you know what I mean? Which is incredible. Now let's talk a little bit about the enterprising side of that, because that also is really clear, right? The fact that you're not just Eric Capehart, you're Eric the counselor. You know what I'm saying? And like, you've got some branding with you about what you do, and you and my man Des have a podcast, Experience Mental Health, that you guys have been working on. So, like, talk a little bit about how you've, explored how you can be enterprising with this calling that you didn't know you were going to have, and how you've been blending sort of what you want to do with what you're sort of called to do.
Yeah, man. So when I became a counselor, I knew right off the bat that I was going to start my own counseling business. I didn't have this strong desire to go. Well, first of all, I have an MBA also. And so, let me rewind.
Okay.
So when I was in college, I started my first business. Like a lot of people, we have these entertainment businesses, we throw parties, and that's what I did, right? But after I graduated, I had an opportunity to start a lawn business. And so I had a lawn business. And so it gave me a lot of confidence, man, because as I was graduating from college, undergrad, my major was speech communications and theater. I was a radio personality. It was fun, but it didn't seem purposeful to me at all. And so I had this opportunity to start a lawn business, and I was making money. I remember the first summer we made like $45,000. You just cutting grass, and I had never cut grass before, Mark. That's the thing. I had never cut grass before I started my business. And so I realized I had the opportunity to provide for myself, make my own schedule. I worked hard, right? I busted my ass. It wasn't anything given to me, but I have that work ethic. And so I always knew that I want to work for myself. And so when I became a counselor, I knew I would start a business. I didn't know I would call it Eric the Counselor. It just came. I'm Eric. I'm a counselor. I'm Eric the Counselor. And the thing about counselors is simple, right? A lot of when you're in school for that, they don't teach you the business side.
Yeah.
Like a lot of therapists, they don't know how to operate a business. They don't think about marketing. They don't think about the analytics. They don't think about any of that stuff. They just know they have a skill set. But I have that background.
Right.
My MBA with even real experience running multiple businesses to different levels of success. And so I just figured, why not, enterprise this thing? Why not have my own practice? I did what I needed to do, to run a practice. I'm running it successfully. It's a growing practice, and I'm loving it, man. It just gives me the freedom to do a lot of things that I didn't think that I would be able to do. And I don't only sit on the couch. That's not the only thing that I do. In this, one thing that I've been doing a lot more recently is working with, I'm a speaker. And so I've been able to work with my corporations, Northrop Grumman, Costco. I've worked with Walmart. A lot of corporations are really taking a focus on unconscious bias and, dealing with the racial inequality that we see. And so they've hired me to come in and do webinars. And so that's an opportunity that I didn't, I wasn't thinking about doing that. But me having that enterprising mindset, I promote that. I'm a speaker, and so I just always think about, how can I, make money doing the things that come natural to me? Because honestly, I just don't really feel comfortable working for money. It sounds weird, right? I don't mind working, but I'd rather position myself to use the skills that I have to put my money to work for me. And so doing these things, it enables me to do that so that my money can go and work for me. And so the work that I do as a therapist and as a speaker, it's just like, it's just fun to me, really. Mm-hmm. But I know it's impactful. I know it's helping change people's lives, which is, a lot of people don't get to say that about the job that they do. When you are doing something that is changing somebody's life, you know what I'm saying? There's just a special feeling that you have. And it's not stressful for me, man. People are like, do you go home and talk to your wife about the clients? No, I don't. And I hear the worst of people's lives every day, right? So I think it's just fun to me to be able to have a skill set to help people. I take my job very serious, but it's just enabled me to do a lot of things that I just didn't think that I would be able to do, Marcus.
It's a special skill set, that you have. I think the combination of the entrepreneurial hustler, piece, and I'm going to use the word hustler specifically because of what you said about the lawn business. You know what I mean? Like never having cut a lawn before and making 45K in your first summer. That's a hustler.
Man, great. Yeah, that's a great hustle, man.
That's a hustler. But then also, your ability to listen to the kinds of things that therapists hear, and be able to leave it, on the couch in the office. That's that's powerful. Let's shift really quickly to your book. I remember when it came out. I was thinking about writing a book when you put your book out. Let's talk about The Miracle Maker. What inspired you to write it, and what is it about?
Man, so the inspiration to write that book was a deal that I made with one of my mentees. I have a mentee. He just retired as a professional boxer, and he was like, "Man, I want to write a book." I was like, "Okay, cool." But he just couldn't find the motivation to do it. He just kept talking about it. And I made a deal with him. I said, if you write a book, I'll write one as well. And so
Wow.
this dude, man, Marcus, he's on his third book now. He wrote a book in his cell phone, in the notes app. He wrote a whole 175 page book in the notes app of his cell phone, and he brought it to me. And I was like, oh man, this dude really did it. So now I have to write a book. And so I had already wanted to write a book anyways about my experiences as a mentor. And so The Miracle Maker, Uncovering the Hidden Miracles of Mentorship, is a collection of different stories and lessons that my experiences as a mentor has taught me. And the challenge for the reader is to find, connect, and commit, because I have this idea that everybody can be a mentor to somebody. And I wrote out an easy process to become a mentor. Find someone that you feel like you can impart something into. It could be the person that makes your coffee every day at Starbucks, someone in your office, someone in your family, but someone that you feel like you can give them something to help them get, ahead in whatever it is that they want to do. You find that person, you connect with them by telling your story to them, learning more about their story, making a true connection with them, and then commit to a mentorship relationship. And what I mean by commit is commit to a specific amount of time. Mentorship is not necessarily expected to be forever, but if you're new at mentorship, especially, I think it's important to commit to an understood and agreed amount of time, 1 year, 30 days, however long it'll take you to give that young person or another adult the thing that you want to give them. So that's what it's about. It was a challenge. It was a promise to one of my mentees that if he wrote a book, I'd write a book. And it's just a collection of stories about, the miracles that have come to pass from mentorship, and true miracles, like things that would not have happened if it weren't for these mentorship experiences, whether in my life or the mentee's life. And then it's about challenging people to find, connect, and commit to mentoring somebody in this world.
That's huge, man. One of the things I learned in my time working with the Oasis Center on an entrepreneurship program for a couple of years was just how much I had to learn about how to mentor young people. I walked into it because I had teenage boys thinking, that I knew, and like parenting and mentoring are not the same thing. You know what I mean? They're not your kids, first of all, you know what I'm saying? And that's not your role. Your role is not to parent them, it's to mentor them. So I think that the idea that you are framing up through narrative and experience, but also, some explicit language on exactly like how to mentor, what sort of the best practices are, is really, really helpful, because that caught me completely by surprise that there was even such a thing as like rules, on how to mentor. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know that.
There's boundaries that need to be, for me, like you said, you have to understand you're not their parent. And for me as a Black male, mentoring other Black men, mostly of families of single parents, moms raising them, you're going to automatically be in like a father figure role. I would get gifts on Father's Day. They would say I'm like a father figure, but to me, this was before I had kids. I kind of had a boundary with that. I'm your mentor. I'm not here to replace your father. And so that's very important as well, because I don't want the expectations to be here when I'm just a mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Not to say I'm not diminishing the role of a mentor,
Right.
but there needs to be boundaries in mentoring, and that was one that was important for me to have.
So let's take some time to talk about this moment in time that we're living in. I can't believe it. Tomorrow is the beginning of August. I mean, it's just like what is going on, man? Like I felt like I had a good handle on things, and staying busy and creative and having these awesome, engaging conversations has been a really big plus for me in terms of like my mental health. There's no question about it. It has kept me optimistic, up, feeling like I have something to do, but just about every day. So that's been really good. But I will say, man, interestingly, the last like 4 weeks, I have noticed that it's been just a little bit harder, you know what I mean, to kind of keep my energy where it is. Some of that's as a result of a knee injury that I had, and it kind of stopped me from running like I wanted to. But I also just feel like this thing is wearing on us, man. You know what I mean? Like, can't go nowhere, can't see people, you know what I mean? Can't touch anybody, can't go to a sports game, can't go to a concert, for people who like to go to the club, can't go to the club, can't go to your favorite restaurant. It's like, it's crazy hard, man. What are you seeing, and what do you have to say as a mental health practitioner, in a time such as this?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of what you're saying, Marcus. The length of this, quarantine or all these different phases that we're going back and forth through is wearing on people. I'm seeing an uptick of people who are dealing with higher levels of stress and anxiety. I'm seeing an uptick in people who are starting to slip in and out of depressed moods because of they can't be around their people. They can't go to the games and do the things that they would normally do. I'm seeing an uptick of Black men reaching out to me for therapy. Honestly, I'm seeing that. And I'll make it even personal. My own stress has gone higher. I'm at home with my kids, as you can hear, all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? A 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I've gone to see my doctor twice because I'm thinking like, what's going on with my body? I've went and got my heart tested, because I'm thinking like, I'm feeling this pain in my chest. Like, what's going on? I've been taking supplements. I've started holy basil. I've been taking magnesium to kind of help balance out my anxiety. I'm doing everything I need to do. I started riding my bike more. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing an uptick in people who are dealing with stress, dealing with depression, even suicidal thoughts. All of that's real right now. Financial depression, and to add on top of all of that, it's like we're in this social climate with, what we know where we are with that. And
election.
And we're in a political season as well. And so I'm just seeing heightened stress all over the board. And what I tell people is, I try to normalize it. Like I'm telling you, like it's normal to feel how you feel right now. It's normal to feel that. And so you got to express it, and you have to find ways to manage it. You have to do things that you probably wouldn't normally do, working out, going for walks every day, making sure that you are putting the right things in your body, not overeating, not going to drugs and alcohol, abusing it, talking to your friends, reach out to someone you hadn't called in a while. You know what I'm saying? You just have to find little things to kind of help maintain and just get through this. Find someone to talk to. But we got to get through this, and you can't do it alone. Especially us as men, Marcus, we try to do things by ourselves. And that's why I'm really proud and encouraged to see the number of men who are contacting me. And I'll say this, I will give credit to the women in these men's lives, because most of them say, I was with my wife and my wife told me to call you, or my girlfriend. And those are the ones who encourage them to do it. And so whatever it takes, bros, it's okay to need help, and it's not weak, right? A lot of guys think it's weak to talk to a counselor. And I ask them, we'll be talking, and I'll say, do you feel weak right now? And they're like, no, I don't feel weak at all. I'm like, exactly. There's no weakness in this. To me, the weakness is needing the help and not getting it. That to me is a true sign of weakness. And so overcome that weakness and reach out to someone to talk to, man, because you're not in it alone. I'm just talking to your audience, man. You're not in it alone, and you're not the only one feeling how you feel, and you don't have to suffer with it alone as well. So that's what I'm saying, man. A lot of people are dealing with higher stress, and look at what we're dealing with. It's to be expected.
Absolutely, man. I think you perfectly summed up what I was hoping you would say. And the normalizing. I think the best form of normalizing is the transparency that you offered. You know what I mean? And that's I'm trying to do my best to do the same. You know, like look, I do this show every day. I don't want to like get up here and like lie. Like I'm just rock solid every single day. You know what I mean? Like I'm showing up and I'm having the conversations, but you know, this has been it's been a slog, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's been a slog, and at the same time, you know, there's also this, you know, the survivor's guilt, right? Because I'm an entrepreneur, because I've had more control over my ability to have finances in my family. Just the industries that we work in were not impacted in the same ways. You know, those economic numbers came out yesterday, man, and I knew it the whole time. I'm like, look, the stock market. I don't want to go so far as to say it's artificially being pumped up, but like. It's artificially being pumped up. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, and then you get 32% GDP decrease. I mean, it's just like, that's
the worst in history, right?
Worse in history. Worse in U.S. history. This is mind blowing.
Way worse than the last time. Like, I think it was 10 once, and now it's 32.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And that's, you know, that is all about the velocity of money movement. You know what I mean? It's not about how much money is out there. The money is out there, but it ain't moving. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And that's the, you know, it's just that is even a thing for me. Just like feeling like, man, you know, there's so many people out there right now that have it so much harder than me, you know, and just trying to keep them in my thoughts and prayers, and, you know, trying to create content to inspire people to, you know, let them know that this too shall pass, even though this is hard, man. This is really hard.
Yeah, man, I was telling my wife the other day, a person who is depressed can still do what they normally do. You can still muster up the strength. Like you said, I'm not saying you're depressed, but you say you show up every day, but it's hard. And you could be struggling with something that none of us know.
Right.
Even me, like, I'm a counselor. People think that just because I'm a counselor that life is just hunky-dory for me. No, I'm not exempt from any of the things that other people are experiencing. I'm not exempt from that stuff. I may show up and do my job well, which I have to be as a therapist. I can't be overly stressed, you know, or going through my own mental health crisis and try to help other people. So I have to be balanced, but I'm not exempt from this stuff, Marcus. And so I think it's important to have that vulnerability. That's why I share my story. That's exactly why I do it, to let people know that I'm a human just like you are. We all go through things. It's just a matter of perspective and how we deal with things, and reaching out for help when we know that we need it.
Well, Eric, man, this has been a long time coming, man. I'm glad we were able to make it happen. Thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, my man. And for everybody out there, you know, yes, Eric is a Nashville native, a unicorn, but his message is a worldwide message. And so, you know, for everybody out there who is subscribed, listening, watching right now, follow Eric online, man. EricTheCounselor.com, Eric_the_Counselor on Instagram, E_the_Counselor on Twitter. Follow this dude. A ton of inspiration, hope, which is exactly what we need in this moment right now. Go find his book, The Miracle Maker, and just support this incredible soul. Create and orchestrate the book. You know it. You've heard it. Let's get out there. Let's go continue to push it up the charts. The podcast, Marcus Whitney's Audio Universe, everywhere that you get podcasts. Go subscribe, and you can follow me online everywhere at Marcus Whitney. Super Googleable, and that's it. I made it. I made it through the week, y'all. So I'm going to try to take some time for myself this weekend and decompress from what has been a great in many ways, but also a quite stressful week in many ways, and try to decompress, spend some time with the family, but also get some work in so that I'm ready for next week to hit you with another set of episodes for Marcus Whitney Live. Until then, let's build a new normal, y'all. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to Marcus Whitney's Audio Universe.